The ballroom felt too small. Derek Hayes stood frozen in a circle of faces he hadn't seen in 15 years, watching his ex-wife deliver the final blow with surgical precision. "You were never a good father, Derek." Jessica's voice carried across the grand ballroom of the Sentinel Hotel, clear and certain. Around them, former classmates from Portland State University went silent. Someone whispered, "Jesus." A woman near the bar covered her mouth. The jazz trio in the corner kept playing oblivious. Derek's face went blank. Not angry, not defensive, just empty. Michelle Carter smirked from Jessica's left sidearms crossed like a bodyguard. Lauren Mitchell stared at her fry boots, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. "I don't want to embarrass you." Jessica's tone softened, almost maternal. "But people deserve to know what I went through. You were a decent husband, but you weren't a good father. I couldn't let Emma grow up in Portland thinking that was normal." The crowd shifted. Whispers spread. Derek felt the weight of their judgment pressing down like wet concrete. "I hope you've at least tried to improve since I left for Chicago." Jessica paused, letting the words sink in. "For Emma's sake." Derek's throat closed. He couldn't speak, couldn't defend himself, couldn't do anything but stand there while his past was rewritten in front of 50 people who used to know him. "I need some air." The words came out quiet, almost a whisper. He turned toward the exit, the Portland skyline visible through the tall windows behind him. Then everything stopped. 6 days earlier, Portland, Oregon. Morning light filtered through the kitchen window of Derek's apartment in northeast Portland's Irvington neighborhood. 6:15 on a Monday, and he was already 2 steps into a routine so ingrained he could execute it half asleep. Emma's lunchbox sat open on the counter, turkey sandwich, apple slices, string cheese, granola bar. Her homework folder waited beside it, math worksheet completed in her careful 9-year-old handwriting. The photo on the refrigerator caught the light. His father, James Hayes, standing in front of the Freightliner plant on Swan Island. Work boots, faded jeans, the kind of weathered face that came from 30 years on a manufacturing line. Someone had scrawled a note across the bottom in black Sharpie. "Character is what you do when no one's watching." Dad Derek stared at it longer than he meant to. "What's this?" Emma appeared in the doorway, already dressed for school in jeans and her Portland Thorns FC sweatshirt. She held a cream-colored envelope, the kind with a person's name typed across the front in serif font. He took it from her. Heavy cardstock. Portland State University. Class of 2009. Reunion printed in forest green. Saturday, October 14th, 7:00 p.m. The Sentinel Hotel Grand Ballroom. His stomach dropped. "Are you going?" Emma set her backpack on a chair, eyes bright with curiosity. "I don't know, kiddo." "You should go." She pulled out a chair and sat swinging her legs. "You never do anything fun anymore." "I do fun things." "Like what?" He opened his mouth, closed it. She had him there. "We went to that Timbers game last month." "That was for my field trip. It doesn't count." She tilted her head, studying him with the unnerving perception kids sometimes had. What's the worst that could happen? The worst. Derek could think of several scenarios, all of them involving Jessica. The last reunion had been 5 years ago at the University Club downtown. She hadn't shown. He'd spent 2 hours making small talk with people he barely remembered, then left early to pick up Emma from his sister's place. This time felt different, heavier. Will Mom be there? The question landed like a stone in still water. "I don't know." Emma nodded slowly, then went back to her cereal. The subject closed. She'd learned not to push when it came to her mother. 6 years of custody arrangements and unanswered phone calls had taught her that some topics weren't worth the energy. Derek looked at his father's photo again. Character is what you do when no one's watching. Maybe you're right. He tucked the invitation into his pocket. "I'll think about it." Emma smiled, the kind that lit up her whole face. "Good." You need to do something besides work and soccer practice. She wasn't wrong. 20 seconds of memory flashed through his mind. Courthouse wedding. July after 2010. Jessica in a simple white dress, him in his only suit. Her pregnant 6 months later glowing in their tiny apartment near campus. The custody hearing at Multnomah County Circuit Court, March 2018. Her lawyer whispering about appeals. Her face when she said no, she needed to focus on her career. The divorce papers signed in an office on SW Broadway, both of them numb and distant. Derek blinked the images away. That was then. This was now. Finish your breakfast. We leave in 20 minutes. The 27th floor of the U.S. Bancorp Tower offered views of Mount Hood on clear days. This wasn't one of them. Gray clouds hung low over downtown Portland, the kind of October morning that promised rain by noon. Derek sat at his desk outside Catherine Montgomery's corner office reviewing her schedule for the week. Seattle on Saturday for a Boeing acquisition dinner. San Francisco on Tuesday for investor meetings. A logistics review in Bend the following Thursday. His job was to make sure every detail aligned flights, hotels, ground transportation meeting agendas. Derek, Ryan Cooper, approached 24 years old and nervous as hell. Junior analyst 3 months into the job, still figuring out how to navigate corporate culture. What's up? I've got the quarterly presentation in an hour. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. I don't know if I'm ready. Derek minimized his screen. You know the numbers? Yeah. You verified the data sources 3 times. Then you're ready. Derek leaned back in his chair. Don't apologize before you start. State your conclusion first, then show your work. They want the answer up front, not a mystery novel. Ryan nodded, but the anxiety didn't leave his face. Did someone teach you that, my father? Derek glanced at the small framed photo on his desk, same one from the fridge at home. He was a foreman at the Freightliner plant. He said confidence isn't being right. It's knowing you did the work. Thanks, man. I don't know what I'd do without you. You'd figure it out. That's what I'm teaching you, how to think. Not what to think. Ryan headed back to his desk. Through the glass wall of Catherine's office, Derek saw her look up from her laptop. She'd heard the conversation. Her expression didn't change, but something in her eyes shifted. Acknowledgement, maybe. Or calculation. Derek. Her voice carried through the open door. Come in. He grabbed his tablet and entered. The office was exactly what people expected from a billionaire CEO. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture. A desk that probably cost more than his car. Catherine sat behind it in a charcoal power suit. Black coffee in a plain ceramic mug, every detail precise. Seattle on Saturday. She pulled up a file on her laptop, angled the screen so he could see. The Boeing dinner is at 7. I want you to coordinate with their logistics team on the distribution proposal. Already done. They're sending the updated specs this afternoon. Good. She typed something, then paused. The Sentinel Hotel, downtown Portland. Same place as your reunion. Derek blinked. He'd mentioned the reunion exactly once 3 weeks ago in passing. Catherine remembered. Yes, ma'am. If you need to leave early Saturday, coordinate with Thompson. I can manage the dinner solo if necessary. I appreciate it, but I'll be there. She nodded, already back to her screen. I remember details. That's why you work for me. Dismissed. Derek returned to his desk, that familiar weight settling in his chest. Catherine Montgomery didn't do small talk. Every word served a purpose. If she remembered the reunion, it wasn't idle chit-chat. It was information filed away for future use. He didn't know why that made him easy. 2,000 miles east, Jessica Bradford stood in her luxury apartment in Chicago's River North neighborhood, phone pressed to her ear. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the Chicago River, the kind of real estate that screamed success. I need closure, Lauren. On the other end, Lauren Mitchell sighed. Jessica, it's been 6 years. Exactly. 6 years of everyone thinking he's this devoted single dad, the martyr who stayed in Portland while I chased my career. She paced to the window, staring at the river below. They don't know the truth. What truth? That he forced me out, that I had no choice. Silence on the line. Lauren worked in finance in Seattle, flew in for reunions, kept in touch with the old college crowd. She'd known Jessica since sophomore year at Portland State, back when they lived in Newberger Hall and stayed up late studying for economics exams. Are you sure you want to do this? Jessica turned to face her reflection in the window. Blonde hair perfectly styled, designer dress that fit like it was made for her because it was. Every detail curated. I need people to know what I went through. He gets to play the victim. I get to be the career woman who abandoned her child. Did you talk to Michelle? She'll be there. She still lives in Portland Pearl District. She's on my side. Lauren didn't respond. Jessica could hear the doubt in the silence. I checked his Facebook. He's going. This is my chance to set the record straight. Jessica, I have to do this, Lauren. She ended the call, pulled up her text messages, typed a quick note to Michelle. He'll be there. I checked. This is my chance. Michelle's response came back in seconds. I've got your back. Jessica walked to her bedroom, opened her closet. Saturday's outfit already hung, waiting, black cocktail dress, expensive but understated. The kind that said she'd succeeded without trying. Her mind drifted to the custody hearing. 6 years ago at Multnomah County Circuit Court, the judge, a stern African-American woman who looked like she'd seen every divorce sob story twice. Jessica's lawyer presenting the case, Derek, was emotionally unavailable, never present, couldn't handle the responsibilities of fatherhood. The judge had awarded primary custody to Derek anyway. We can appeal, her lawyer had whispered. No. Jessica stood gathering her things. I need to focus on my career. The truth was simpler. Chicago had offered her everything Portland couldn't: a 6-figure salary, a title that mattered, a life that didn't revolve around diapers and soccer practice. She'd made a choice. The right choice. But now, 6 years later, that choice looked different in the mirror, especially when people still talked about Derek like he was some kind of saint. She picked up her phone, pulled up the Alaska Airlines app. Portland International Airport, Saturday morning. Return flight Sunday afternoon. Booked. Then the Sentinel Hotel. 1 night, premium room, city view. Confirmed. This wasn't about winning. It was about making sure people knew both sides of the story, making sure Derek Hayes didn't get to be the hero while she played the villain in absentia. Jessica practiced her lines in the mirror. I had to be both mother and father. No too aggressive. I wanted our daughter to have a stable home. Better. Sympathetic without being weak. Saturday couldn't come soon enough. Thursday afternoon. 2:30 on the dot. Derek's desk phone rang, the landline, not his cell. He picked up without checking the caller ID. Derek Hayes. Mr. Hayes, this is Dr. Kenneth Bradford. I'm calling from Chicago. I'm Jessica's husband. Derek went still. He'd never spoken to Kenneth, never even seen a photo. Just knew he existed. Wealthy surgeon, remarried Jessica 2 years ago, the kind of man who solved problems with money. What can I do for you, Dr. Bradford? Please call me Kenneth. The voice was smooth, educated, the kind that came from generations of private schools and country clubs. I'm calling because my wife is struggling. She misses Emma terribly. It's affecting her mental health. Derek's jaw tightened. I'd like to propose a modification to the custody arrangement. Nothing dramatic. Just let Jessica have Emma for Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break. The major holidays. I think it would help. That's not... I'm prepared to make this worth your while, Mr. Hayes. $50,000. Wire transfer today if you'd like. All you need to do is agree to the modification. The number hung in the air. $50,000. More than Derek made in a year as an executive assistant. Enough to pay off his car bill, Emma's college fund, maybe take a real vacation for once. His hands started shaking. My daughter isn't for sale. Everyone has a price, Mr. Hayes. 75, 100, name it. You don't know the right people. Derek hung up. The phone felt like lead in his hand. Catherine's door opened. She stepped out with her coffee mug heading toward the break room. Saw his face. Everything all right? Yeah. He forced his voice steady. Just someone trying to buy something that isn't theirs. She stopped, set the mug on his desk. What did they offer? $50,000 for custody modification. Catherine's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Ice cracking just beneath the surface. And you said, I'm not for sale. Neither is my daughter. She picked up her mug, nodded slowly. Good answer. Let me know if he calls back. She returned to her office. Derek sat there, pulse hammering in his ears. $50,000. For holidays with a daughter Jessica hadn't called in 6 months. A daughter she'd chosen to leave when Chicago came calling. The money didn't matter. It never would. But the fact that they'd tried, that Kenneth Bradford thought everything had a price, made something twist in Derek's chest. His phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Still going to the reunion Saturday. I can watch Emma. He stared at the message. Thought about Jessica. About Kenneth and his $50,000. About people who rewrote history to make themselves comfortable. Yeah. I'll drop her off around 5:30. Sarah's response came back immediately. Good. You need to get out. Have some fun. Fun. Right. Derek looked at his father's photo. Character is what you do when no one's watching. Saturday was going to be a disaster. He could feel it already. Saturday arrived gray and drizzling, typical Portland October weather. Derek dropped Emma at Sarah's craftsman-style house in Selwood just after 5:30. Sarah's 2 kids were already in pajamas, some Pixar movie queued up on the TV. Emma hugged him extra long at the door. Be careful, Dad. It's just a reunion, kiddo. Mom makes people sad when she talks. She pulled back, looking up at him with those serious 9-year-old eyes. Don't let her make you sad. Sarah caught his eye over Emma's head, concern written all over her face. I'll be fine. He kissed Emma's forehead. See you around 10. The drive downtown took 20 minutes. Derek parked in the Smart Park garage on 4th, walked 2 blocks to the Sentinel Hotel. The building was restored, 1920s architecture, brass fixtures, marble floors, Art Deco, details everywhere. The kind of place that made you feel underdressed even in your best suit. He took the stairs to the 2nd floor, followed the signs to the grand ballroom. Music drifted through the open doors, jazz trio playing standards, the kind of background soundtrack every reunion seemed to require. The ballroom was already half full. People clustered in groups, wine glasses and hand name tags affixed to designer dresses and expensive suits. Derek spotted a few familiar faces. Most were strangers wearing the bodies of people he used to know. Derek Hayes, Brian Anderson stood at the bar near the entrance nursing an IPA from Deschutes Brewery. They'd run track together freshman year, lost touch after graduation, reconnected on Facebook a few years back. Brian, they shook hands. How have you been? Good, really good, still in Eugene, teaching high school English. Brian took a sip of his beer, then lowered his voice. Listen, man, I thought you should know. Jessica's here. She flew in from Chicago just for this. Derek's stomach dropped. Just stay on your side, she'll stay on hers. Plenty of room. It'll be fine. Derek forced a smile. Yeah, fine. He scanned the ballroom. Found her near the center, surrounded by women he vaguely recognized. Lauren Mitchell, Michelle Carter, a couple others whose names he'd forgotten. Jessica looked exactly the same. Blonde hair, perfect makeup, designer dress that probably cost more than his monthly rent. She was laughing at something Michelle said, gesturing with her wine glass. Then she turned. looked directly at him across the crowded room. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Derek felt the ground shift beneath his feet. This wasn't going to be fine. Whatever Emma had sensed, whatever instinct had made Sarah look at him with concern, it was right. Jessica wasn't here for closure. She was here for blood. Derek tried to stay peripheral, talked to an old classmate about software engineering, discussed Portland's housing market with someone from his economics seminar, kept one eye on Jessica the whole time, tracking her movement through the room like a storm front. It didn't work. Derek! She materialized out of the crowd with Lauren and Michelle flanking her, bodyguards in cocktail dresses. I wasn't sure you'd come. Jessica's smile was warm, practiced. Still living in Irvington? The question landed with just enough condescension. Irvington was nice tree-lined streets, old houses, good schools, but it wasn't the Pearl District. It wasn't River North Chicago. Yeah, same place. That's nice. Stability is important. She sipped her wine. How's Emma? She's great. Playing soccer, reading constantly, doing really well in school. I'm so glad. Jessica's voice dripped sympathy. It must be so hard doing it all alone. Administrative work, single parenting. I mean, I tried to help before I moved to Chicago, but... She let the sentence hang. Implication clear, she'd tried. He'd made it impossible. Lauren shifted uncomfortably. Michelle nodded along, arms crossed. Derek was always better at supporting roles anyway. Jessica turned to the growing circle of listeners. Secretary work suits him. Executive assistant. Derek kept his voice even. And I like my job. Of course you do. Nothing wrong with modest ambitions. More people drifted over. Rebecca Stevens, someone Derek remembered from freshman orientation. 2 others he couldn't place. The circle expanded. Jessica held court at the center theater. We were so young when we got married at the courthouse. She shook her head, rueful. I had no idea what I was signing up for. Jessica. He was never really present emotionally. I carried the marriage alone. It was exhausting. Lauren tried to interrupt. Maybe we should... Michelle cut her off with a look. Jessica's voice got louder. The jazz trio kept playing, oblivious. I wanted our daughter to have a stable home in Portland. I begged him to try counseling at the East Side Center. He refused. That's not what happened. Derek's voice came out quiet. Not defensive, just factual. Jessica's eyes went soft. Mock sympathy. See. Even now, he can't take responsibility. The circle went silent. People watching. Phones probably recording somewhere. Derek felt the walls closing in. Rebecca spoke up. Is that true about the counseling at East Side Center? Derek opened his mouth. Nothing came out. What could he say that wouldn't make it worse? That Jessica was the one who refused counseling? That she'd already accepted the job in Chicago before the divorce was finalized? That she'd chosen her career over custody without a second thought? Any of it would sound defensive. Bitter. Like he was trying to rewrite history to make himself look better. So he said nothing. Jessica took his silence as confirmation. I'm not trying to embarrass you in front of everyone from PSU. Her voice stayed gentle, concerned. I'm trying to help you see the pattern. You were a decent husband, but you weren't a good father. I couldn't let Emma grow up in Portland thinking that was normal. The words landed like blows. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, Jesus Christ. Derek felt his face go blank. Shutdown mode, the thing he did when emotion threatened to crack the surface. Michelle smirked. Lauren stared at her boots. I hope you've at least tried to improve since I left for Chicago. Jessica paused, letting the room absorb it. For Emma's sake. Derek's throat closed. He couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but stand there while 50 people watched him lose. I need some air. The words barely made it out. He turned toward the exit, the Portland skyline visible through the windows. Rain had started drops streaking the glass. Then he felt it. A hand slipped through his arm. gentle but firm. Perfume hit him subtle, expensive, nothing like the drugstore fragrances most people wore. He turned. Catherine Montgomery stood beside him in a black cocktail dress. Classic Nordstrom cut, every detail perfect. She wasn't looking at him, she was looking at Jessica. And then she said it. One word, clear as a bell. Honey. The ballroom froze. Derek's brain short-circuited. Catherine. Here, calling him honey. The Portland skyline behind them. The jazz trio still playing. 50 people staring. Jessica's smile faltered, just for a second. I'm sorry, who? Catherine Montgomery. She squeezed Derek's arm, a signal he barely registered. Derek's girlfriend. Someone in the crowd whispered, Holy shit, that's Catherine Montgomery. From Montgomery Enterprises. The room shifted. Power dynamics realigning in real time. Catherine turned to Derek, voice soft. Sorry I'm late. Traffic from Seattle was a nightmare. I-5 was backed up at the Rose Quarter. Her eyes held his. Play along. Derek's heart hammered against his ribs. He had no idea what was happening. Why Catherine was here. Why she was pretending to be his girlfriend. Why she was staring down his ex-wife like she was deciding which piece to move on a chessboard. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. The game had just changed. Jessica recovered first. Always did. She extended her hand across the circle, smile snapping back into place like a mask. I don't think we've met. I'm Jessica. From Chicago now. Catherine's handshake was brief, professional. The kind that said she'd done this 10,000 times and yours wasn't special. Michelle's eyes went wide. Wait. Montgomery Enterprises, the logistics company in the U.S. Bancorp Tower. That's right. Catherine's voice carried no warmth. We're headquartered here in Portland. Lauren's face changed. Recognition. She worked finance in Seattle. She knew exactly who Catherine Montgomery was. Jessica's smile tightened, but she pushed forward. And how did you two meet? At work. He's my executive assistant. Pause. Just long enough. Best hire I ever made. Derek felt the lie wrap around him like armor. Catherine had never promoted him. He'd held the same position for 4 years, but she said it with such absolute certainty that even he almost believed it. Executive assistant. Jessica's tone sharpened. I thought he was a secretary. Same role, different title. Catherine didn't blink. I promoted him twice in 4 years. The crowd leaned in. This wasn't about Derek anymore. This was about watching 2 apex predators circle each other. How long have you been together? Long enough to know what kind of person he is. And what kind is that? Catherine listed facts like she was reading from a report. He shows up 15 minutes early every day. Never misses Emma's soccer games at Laurelhurst Park, schedules meetings around them. Turned down a VP track position because it required travel to our Bay Area offices. Each word landed with precision. No emotion, just data. Michelle stepped closer. Anyone can be professional at work. Catherine turned to her, ice forming in the space between them. People who lie at home usually lie at work. I've found the opposite is also true. Rebecca spoke up, arms crossed now. That's a pretty bold claim, Ms. Montgomery. I don't make claims. I make observations based on 4 years of daily interaction. The jazz trio finished a song, started another. The room waited. I've worked with Derek for 4 years. In that time, he's requested early leave exactly 12 times. Every single one for Emma. He's made up every hour, usually staying until 7 or 8. Most people don't. Jessica tried to cut in. Well, at work, sure, but he also pays child support. Catherine's voice stayed level. Despite having full custody. Did you know that? Jessica flinched. Actual physical reaction gone in a second, but unmistakable. The crowd murmured. Derek felt the energy shift. people reassessing, recalculating who the victim was in this story. Catherine pulled her iPhone from her clutch. "Derek, when did you finalize the divorce?" He blinked, following the script without knowing where it led. March 2018, at the Multnomah County Courthouse. She turned to Jessica. "And when did you move to Chicago?" "I don't see how that's relevant to humor me." Jessica's jaw tightened. June 2018. I had a job offer at Kellerman Pharma." "So you moved 3 months after the divorce. For your career." "I had an opportunity I couldn't pass up." "Did you ask for joint custody during those 3 months while you were still in Portland?" Silence, the kind that screamed. "Did you petition to modify the custody agreement after you moved to Chicago?" "I couldn't afford the legal fees for interstate." Catherine's expression didn't change. "You're a marketing director at Kellerman Pharma in Chicago. According to Glassdoor, that position pays between $170,000 and $190,000 annually." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's wine glass clinked against their teeth. "And your husband, Dr. Kenneth Bradford, just offered Derek $50,000 this week to modify custody, so money clearly isn't the issue." Jessica went pale, actually pale. "What Kenneth wouldn't—" "He called Derek's office line on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Derek turned him down. Did you not know?" The room held its breath. "You didn't fight for custody because you didn't want it. You chose Chicago over Emma. That's not Derek's failure. That's yours." Jessica's voice cracked. "You don't understand what it's like to choose between career and child. You're right, I don't make that choice, but I know what it's like to own the choices I do make." Lauren walked away, just turned and headed for the bar without a word. The coalition fracturing in real time. Rebecca uncrossed her arms, looked at Jessica differently now. Michelle tried to salvage it. Jessica had every right to move to Chicago for her career, absolutely. Catherine's tone softened, but only slightly. But having the right to make a choice doesn't mean you get to rewrite why you made it. Brian Anderson stepped forward, hands raised. "Hey, everyone's had a lot to drink. Let's just call it a night." Jessica ignored him, stared at Derek like he'd orchestrated the whole thing. "You turned everyone against me. You poisoned them with your version." Derek found his voice, finally, after 6 years of silence. "No, you did that yourself." The words came out steady, not angry, just true. "I never told anyone what really happened. Not Brian, not my co-workers at Montgomery Enterprises, not even Sarah knows the full story about why you left Portland. You're the only one who talks about the divorce. Because you need people to believe your version that I drove you away instead of you choosing to leave." Jessica's eyes filled with tears, but they looked like rage, not sadness. "I was a good mother when I was here." "You were." Derek held her gaze. "But you left. And I stayed." Catherine's hand touched his elbow. "Are you ready to leave?" He nodded, couldn't speak anymore. They walked toward the exit arm still linked. Past Lou the bartender, an older guy who'd worked Portland hotels for 30 years. He nodded at Catherine with recognition. The kind you give someone you've seen on the business news. Whispers followed them out. "Is that really Catherine Montgomery? The billionaire? I had no idea Derek was dating someone like that." Behind them, Jessica stood alone in the center of the ballroom. Michelle had disappeared. Lauren was at the bar with her back turned. Rebecca was talking quietly to Brian. Isolated, diminished. Exactly what she'd tried to do to Derek. The hallway outside was carpeted Art Deco sconces casting soft light. Muffled jazz music leaked through the closed doors. Derek stopped walking. Catherine's arm slipped free. "Why did you do that?" "I told you. I had a dinner at the hotel. Boeing acquisition meeting. It finished early." "That's not what I mean." "I know. She looked at him directly. No corporate polish, just a woman making a choice. I don't like bullies. I don't like watching good people get destroyed for being decent. You barely know me outside of work. I know you well enough. 4 years of daily interaction teaches you who someone is. Derek's mind caught up. How did you know what Kenneth offered? I only told you he called, not the details. Catherine's expression shifted, something that might have been anger in someone less controlled. He didn't just call you. He called my office first Wednesday morning, asked to speak to HR about your employment, wanted to know if you'd be fired for inappropriate behavior with a supervisor, implied we were having an affair to damage your custody case. Derek went still. What did you tell him? I told him if he called my company again, I'd have our legal team bury him in harassment charges. Then he called you Thursday. The pieces fell into place. You knew Jessica was planning something. I suspected. That's why when my Seattle dinner ended at 8:15, I came down to check on you instead of driving back. Derek stared at her. This woman who barely spoke to him beyond logistics coordination, who'd never asked about his personal life, who remembered details but never explained why. Everything you said in there, the promotions, I exaggerated some details. The core was true. You're exactly who I said you are. Why would you risk your reputation for me? Catherine paused, chose her words carefully. Because reputation means nothing if you don't use it to protect people who deserve protecting. They stood in the quiet hallway. Portland city lights visible through a window at the far end. The rain had picked up drops streaking the glass. Derek asked the question he wasn't sure he wanted answered. Are you worried about professional boundaries? HR implications? I stopped worrying about that when I built my own company. I make the rules. She turned toward the window, voice dropping just slightly. I was divorced at 28. First husband was a real estate developer in Bellevue. When I started Montgomery Enterprises, he tried to claim half the IP in the divorce. Said he'd funded it, which was a lie I bootstrapped with student loans from Portland State. He tried to sabotage my Series A funding by calling investors. Derek had never heard this. It wasn't in any article about her, not in the Forbes profile or the TechCrunch feature or the Portland Business Journal cover story. I know what it's like when someone rewrites the story to make themselves the hero and you the villain. I didn't know any of that. It's not in, why would I advertise it? I won. The court sided with me. He moved back to California. I built what I built. She looked at him again. Take Monday off. You need space to process this. I can't. I have meetings scheduled, bills to... It's not optional. I'm telling you, not asking. You have 3 weeks of unused PTO. Derek's throat tightened. The control he'd held all evening started to crack. He turned toward the window, shoulders shaking, tears running down his face in the dim light, silent, unstoppable. Not sobbing, just release. 6 years of holding it together, of being the good father, of never defending himself because defending meant engaging, and engaging meant making it worse for Emma. All of it breaking open in a hotel hallway. Catherine hesitated, then stepped closer. Hey, Derek, look at me. He turned, wiping his face with his hand. Sorry. I needed someone to believe me. For once, someone besides Sarah or Emma. Someone who didn't have to. I do believe you, and I'm not the only one. Lauren walked away. Rebecca looked like she wanted to apologize. Brian tried to diffuse. You're not alone in this. Derek nodded, getting control back, breathing steadier. Thank you for what you did in there. You don't need to keep thanking me. Catherine's voice went quiet, almost gentle. Silence isn't weakness, Derek. You chose not to engage with someone who was determined to hurt you. That takes more strength than people realize. But you don't have to be silent all the time. Some people will actually listen. She started to walk away, stopped, turned back. People see what you do, not what someone says about you. Remember that Monday when you're sitting at home wondering if any of this matters? Then she was gone, heels clicking down the hallway toward the elevator. Derek stood alone, Portland lights reflecting off wet pavement 27 floors below. The reunion still happening behind closed doors. His ex-wife probably explaining to anyone who'd listen, rewriting the narrative again. But something had shifted. Some weight he'd carried for 6 years felt lighter, not gone, just bearable. The drive to Selwood took 20 minutes. Derek crossed the Willamette River via Ross Island Bridge streetlights reflecting off wet pavement. Classic Portland drizzle had turned into actual rain. Sarah opened the door in sweatpants and an old Trailblazers hoodie, read his face immediately. What happened? I'll tell you later when Emma's not listening. Emma came running with her backpack, face bright. Was it fun? It was interesting. The drive home, Emma chattered about Encanto. Again. She'd seen it 100 times but still found new details to discuss. Derek watched her in the rearview mirror, grounding himself in her voice. Did you see Mom? The question came casual, not loaded. Yeah, I saw her. Did she ask about me? She did. Emma nodded. Okay. She went back to talking about the movie. The subject closed. 6 years of this had taught her when to push and when to let go. Home was an older building in Irvington. Hardwood floors, high ceilings. Emma's soccer trophies on the bookshelf. The kind of place that was comfortable without trying to impress anyone. Emma brushed her teeth with her sonic electric toothbrush, changed into pajamas with the Portland Thorns FC logo. Derek tucked her in, pulling the blanket up to her chin. Are you sad? Direct question. No preamble. No. Just thinking. About Mom. A little. Emma studied his face. You're a good dad. Better than she says. Derek froze. What do you mean better than she says? I heard her once. On the phone to Grandma Bradford. She was visiting from Chicago last year. Mom said you didn't try hard enough to make her stay in Portland. The words hit like a fist. His daughter had been carrying this, knowing her mother talked about him that way. But Grandpa James used to say trying is what counts, and you try really hard every day. Derek's voice came out thick. You remember Grandpa saying that you were only 4 when he passed? I remember some stuff. He said character is what you do when no one's watching, and you have lots of character, Dad. He couldn't speak, just nodded. I don't remember when you guys were married, but I remember you've always been here, always picking me up from school, always at my soccer games, always making my lunches. Derek kissed her forehead. And I always will be, kiddo. Always. She closed her eyes, asleep in minutes. He walked to the kitchen, made coffee even though it was past midnight, Stumptown beans from the local roaster, sat at the small Formica table. His phone buzzed. Text from Brian. You okay, man? That was intense. Let me know if you need anything. Then an unknown 503 area code. This is Lauren Mitchell. I got your info from the PSU reunion list. I'm sorry about tonight. Jessica had this planned for weeks. She flew in from Chicago specifically for this. It was wrong. Derek stared at the message. Premeditated. Not a spontaneous confrontation. She'd planned it, rehearsed it, coordinated with Michelle. He typed back, "Thank you for saying that. I appreciate your honesty." Lauren's response came immediately. For what it's worth, Catherine Montgomery was right about everything. I've known Jessica since we lived in Newburger Hall sophomore year. She's not a bad person, but she needs to be right, and when she's not, she rewrites things until she is. Derek. Yeah, I know. He set the phone down, pulled out a yellow legal pad from the junk drawer, sat at the kitchen table with his coffee, started writing. What actually happened in my marriage. Not for anyone else, not for Emma or Sarah or some future court case, just for himself. To remember his own truth while it was still clear in his head. He wrote for an hour, put the pages in the drawer with the bills and takeout menus, went to bed. Monday. Derek stayed home. Catherine's orders. He vacuumed Emma's room, wiped down the kitchen, did laundry in the building's basement with quarters in the old Maytag machines. Routine as self-care, sat on the couch flipping channels, Trailblazers game replay, local news, cooking show. Nothing held his attention. Catherine's words kept circling. Some people will actually listen. He'd spent 6 years not defending himself, not because he was weak, because he was protecting Emma from the conflict, from having to choose sides, from being caught in the crossfire of adults who couldn't let go. But maybe Emma was old enough now. Maybe some truths needed to be spoken. Or maybe silence was still the right choice. Derek pulled out the legal pad again. Read what he'd written. Put it back in the drawer. Some things didn't need an audience. Tuesday morning, 7:45. 15 minutes earlier than usual. Derek took the elevator to the 27th floor. Nodded to the security guard who knew him by name. Catherine's office door was closed. Glass showed her on a video conference with the Bay Area team. The co-worker at the neighboring desk glanced over. How was the reunion? Fine. Good to see old friends. Derek changed the subject immediately. Pulled up his email. Coordinated Catherine's trip to San Francisco. Reviewed the logistics for the Bend meeting. 11 a.m. Catherine's door opened. Meeting ended. Derek, come in, close the door. He did, nervous without knowing why. Professional discussion, client meeting in Bend, Central Oregon Logistics Hub tour, hotel arrangements, meeting agenda. Derek took notes on his laptop. She discussed details like Saturday never happened, professional distance restored. He almost believed it. As he stood to leave, hand on the door handle. Are you all right? He stopped, turned. Yes. Thank you. For Saturday night. You don't need to thank me. I do, though. You didn't have to do what you did. Catherine studied him. I know, but I wanted to. Pause. The kind that meant something was coming. I need you to meet someone. This Saturday afternoon, if you're available. Who? My daughter. Emma needs to meet her, too. Derek went still. You have a daughter? Catherine nodded. Olivia. She's 11. Lives with me full-time. The world tilted slightly. Catherine Montgomery, who kept everything compartmentalized, who never mentioned personal details at work, had a daughter Derek knew nothing about. I didn't know. I don't talk about her at work. Security reasons. When you're visible in Portland business circles, you protect your family. She explained quickly. Ex-husband from Bellevue, real estate developer, got violent during the divorce, smashed her laptop, threatened to destroy her. Multnomah County restraining order. He moved back to Sacramento. Supervised visitation twice a year. Derek understood immediately. The parallel. 2 people with violent or manipulative exes. 2 people protecting their children. When do you want us to meet her? Saturday afternoon. Laurelhurst Park if you're comfortable. Public, neutral. Catherine's voice shifted. Careful now. I need to know if Olivia and Emma can be friends. Because if they can't, this won't work. No matter how much She stopped. Derek waited. I'll tell you Saturday, depending on how it goes. This is a big step. I know, if it's too soon I understand. But I don't introduce Olivia to people from work. Ever. You'd be the first. Why me? Because I think you understand what it means to put your child first, and because, she paused, because I trust you. The words landed heavy. Trust from Catherine Montgomery wasn't casual, it was currency. Saturday, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Derek left her office, sat at his desk, stared at his screen without seeing it. Catherine had a daughter. She wanted their daughters to meet. Before anything else happened, before any decision got made about what Saturday night at the reunion meant, the children came first. Always. Wednesday evening, kitchen table. Emma finishing fractions homework. Hey, kiddo. I need to talk to you about something. She looked up. Am I in trouble? No, nothing like that. I wanted to tell you, I'm going to introduce you to someone on Saturday. Like a friend, kind of. Her name is Olivia. She's Catherine's daughter. Emma's eyes went huge. Catherine from your work has a daughter, the lady who yelled at Mom. She didn't yell, but yes, Olivia is 11. She likes reading. She goes to Lincoln High School, the Arts Magnet program. Emma processed this. Why do I need to meet her? Because before Catherine and I can figure out if we want to spend more time together, you two need to meet. You're both the most important people to us. What if she doesn't like me? Then we'll deal with it. But I think you'll like each other. You both love books. She's read all the Percy Jackson books. Emma perked up. All of them? Even the Kane Chronicles? I think so. You can ask her Saturday at Laurelhurst Park. Quiet for a moment. Then, is Catherine your girlfriend now? I don't know yet. That's what Saturday is about. Emma studied him. What would Grandpa James say? Derek smiled, looked at the photo on the fridge. He'd say, character is what you do when no one's watching. And Olivia's had a hard time with her dad, kind of like how your mom makes things hard sometimes. So Grandpa would say, be kind. Emma nodded seriously. I can do that, Dad. I'm good at being kind. You are, kiddo. You really are. She went back to her fractions. Subject closed. Derek stared at his father's photo. Wondered what James would actually say about all this. The reunion. Catherine. The choice to maybe let someone in after 6 years of keeping everyone at arm's length. Probably something about doing what's right even when it's hard. That was usually his answer. Saturday, 2 p.m., Laurelhurst Park. Derek and Emma arrived first. The park was busy. Families, dogs, kids on the playground. Mount Hood visible in the distance. Clear day. Rare for Portland in October. Emma fidgeted with her Thorns FC jacket. What if she thinks I'm weird? Then she's wrong. Dad. You're not weird. You're thoughtful. There's a difference. Catherine's Tesla pulled into the parking lot. She got out first. Then a girl with dark hair and a ponytail wearing an oversized Nike hoodie. She stayed close to Catherine. They walked over. Catherine carried 2 Stumptown coffee cups. Emma, this is Olivia. Olivia, this is Derek's daughter, Emma. Awkward pause. Both girls shy. Emma stepped forward first. Hi, my dad says you like reading. Olivia nodded. Quiet voice. Yeah, me too. Have you read Percy Jackson? Olivia's face changed. Slight smile. All of them. I'm on the 2nd Heroes of Olympus book. That's my favorite series. Emma's nervousness disappeared. Want to go on the swings and talk about it? Olivia looked at Catherine for permission. Catherine nodded. The girls walked off toward the swing set. Derek and Catherine stood watching. Olivia was hesitant at first. Emma demonstrated pumping her legs. Olivia copied. After a minute, both girls were laughing. Olivia doesn't laugh like that with strangers. Catherine's voice was quiet. She's cautious since the divorce. Emma doesn't either. Not since Jessica left for Chicago. It's been 6 years of just us. They stood in comfortable silence. Portland afternoon sounds. Dogs barking, kids playing, basketball game on the court nearby. I meant what I started to say on Tuesday in my office. Which part? The part where I said if the girls can't be friends, this won't work. Because no matter how much I care about you, and I do, I can't put that before Olivia's well-being. Derek turned to look at her. You care about me. Catherine met his eyes. I have for months. Since last spring when you stayed until 9 p.m. 3 nights straight, helping me prepare the Series C presentation, then still showed up at 7:45 a.m., looking exhausted, but organized. I just didn't know how to say it without making work complicated. And now I'm saying it. I'm not good at personal relationships, Derek. I built a company instead of learning how to date like a normal person. But I know what I feel, and if you don't feel the same, I understand. But I needed you to know. Derek watched the girls on the monkey bars. Together now, Olivia smiling wide. My father used to say the right choice is usually the hard one. Walking away from this would be easy. Staying in my comfortable routine would be easy. This, he gestured between them. This is terrifying. Terrifying in a good way. Yeah, in a really good way. Catherine's hand found his, squeezed once. The girls ran back, breathless and pink-cheeked. Mom, can Emma come over sometime to our condo? If her dad says it's okay. Emma looked at Derek. Can I? Dad? Please. Of course. Olivia turned to Emma. No filter. Do you think our parents are going to get married? Both adults froze mid-breath. Emma shrugged. I don't know. Do you want them to? Olivia thought about it. I think so. Your dad seems really nice, and my mom is way happier when she talks about him at home. She smiles at her phone. Emma grinned. My dad is happy when he talks about your mom, too. He gets all quiet and weird. Olivia giggled. Then they should just do it. Adults make things too complicated. Both girls laughed, turned to run back to the slide. Emma called over her shoulder, loud enough for everyone to hear, if you love each other, just get married. That's what Grandpa James would say. They ran off. Derek and Catherine stood in stunned silence. Well, yeah, they both started laughing, the kind that released tension held too long. Out of the mouths of babes. Derek shook his head. My dad would have loved her directness. They watched the girls play. Two kids who'd been cautious with strangers finding each other through books and shared experience. Two adults who'd kept everyone at distance, realizing maybe some walls were meant to come down. The choice wasn't made with words. It was made in silence, in watching their daughters laugh together, in hands that stayed linked even after the girls ran off. Some decisions didn't need discussion. They just needed permission. And two 9- and 11-year-olds had just given it. Monday morning, Lauren Mitchell texted, Can I buy you coffee? I owe you an apology in person. Derek met her at Stumptown Coffee Roasters on SE Division Street. 5:30 after work. Lauren already had 2 Americanos waiting. She sat across from him, looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I should have said that Saturday night, but I was a coward. Derek wrapped his hands around the cup. You walked away. That took guts. Not enough. Lauren stared at her coffee. Jessica had been planning that reunion attack for 6 weeks. Called me multiple times from Chicago rehearsing lines. She felt like you got custody by playing victim in court. She needed to prove she was right to move to Chicago. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better than what we did Saturday. And because Catherine Montgomery scared the shit out of me in a good way. She saw through Jessica in 5 minutes. I've known Jessica since sophomore year at Portland State, and I've been making excuses for her for 15 years. Derek took a drink. Is she okay, Jessica? Lauren's expression changed. Honestly, no. But that's not your problem to solve. She explained. Jessica's remarriage was struggling. Dr. Kenneth Bradford was controlling, monitored her phone. She couldn't go anywhere without telling him. Lauren thought Jessica needed to prove she'd made the right choice leaving Portland. She used to ask me about Emma. She stopped about a year ago. Derek processed this. Jessica's guilt manifesting as attack. The psychology made sense, even if the behavior didn't. For what it's worth, Michelle was wrong to encourage her. I should have stopped it. You walked away Saturday. That's what mattered. They talked for another 20 minutes. Lauren asked about Emma. Derek said she was great soccer reading school. That's all that mattered. Lauren left first. Derek sat with his coffee watching Portland commuters rush past on Division Street. Rain starting again. Always rain in October. His phone buzzed. Text from Catherine. How's Emma doing with Saturday? She's excited. Asked if Olivia likes soccer. Olivia asked the same thing about books. Derek smiled. Typed back. We might have created something here. That was the idea. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Dinner Friday. All 4 of us. My place. Derek stared at the message. Dinner. At Catherine's condo. The 4 of them together. Emma would love that. Good. 7 p.m. I'll text you the address. He set the phone down, looked out the window at the rain. 6 years of keeping everyone at distance, of routine and safety and never letting anyone close enough to hurt Emma again. All of it unraveling because a billionaire CEO had walked into a reunion and said one word, honey. Friday, 7 p.m. Catherine's condo in the Pearl District. Derek had expected impressive, still wasn't prepared. 23rd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Portland, kitchen that looked like it belonged in a restaurant, living room with furniture that cost more than his car. But Olivia's books were everywhere, stacked on the coffee table, shelved along one wall. Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, Rick Riordan's entire catalog. Emma, Olivia appeared from a hallway, face bright. I have the Heroes of Olympus books in my room. Want to see... The girls disappeared. Derek stood in the entryway, suddenly aware of the distance between his world and Catherine's. Stop thinking! Catherine emerged from the kitchen with wine. They don't care about any of this. Neither should you. Your place is... expensive. I know, it's also just a place. She handed him a glass. Dinner's in 20 minutes. Chicken piccata. Olivia requested it because she read about it in a book. Derek laughed. Of course she did. They moved to the living room, sat on a couch that probably cost 5 figures. Girls' laughter echoed from Olivia's room. How's work been? Catherine sipped her wine. Tense. People keep asking about the reunion. What do you tell them? That it was fine. Liar. Derek smiled. What am I supposed to say? My ex-wife tried to destroy me publicly, and my boss showed up pretending to be my girlfriend. Ex-boss. Catherine set her glass down. I submitted paperwork Wednesday. You report to Thompson now. I wanted to eliminate any conflict of interest. Derek went still. You changed my reporting structure. I changed mine. I still own the company. But HR-wise, you're not my direct report anymore, which means this... She gestured between them. Doesn't violate any policies. You didn't have to do that. I know, I wanted to. The girls came running back, Olivia holding a book. Can we read until dinner? Emma hasn't read The Last Olympian yet. Catherine checked her watch. 15 minutes. Then wash hands. They disappeared again. Derek and Catherine sat in comfortable silence. Portland lights spreading below them, rain tapping the windows. I'm not good at this. Catherine's voice was quiet. The relationship part. I built a company instead of learning how to be vulnerable with people. I'm not good at it either. I built a routine instead of dealing with my divorce. Maybe that's why this could work. Derek turned to look at her. What's this exactly? I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out. Dinner was easy. Olivia and Emma talked about books. Catherine asked Emma about soccer. Derek told Olivia about his father working at Freightliner. Your dad sounds like he was cool. He was. Worked the line for 30 years, never missed a day. Catherine met his eyes across the table. Understanding passing between them without words. After dinner, the girls played a board game. Derek helped Catherine with dishes. This feels normal. He rinsed a plate. Weirdly normal. Good weird or bad weird? Good weird. Catherine smiled, rare and genuine. 9 p.m. Derek and Emma left. Hugs at the door. Olivia making Emma promise to text about the next Percy Jackson book. In the car driving home, Emma was quiet. You okay, kiddo? Yeah, I like Olivia, and Catherine's nice. But, no but, She looked out the window. I'm not used to you being happy with someone else. It's different. Derek pulled into their apartment parking lot, turned off the engine. You're allowed to feel however you feel about this. If it's too fast or too weird or you're not ready, you tell me. Catherine and I both agreed you and Olivia come first, always. Emma nodded. I know. I just wanted to say it out loud. Thank you for being honest. They walked upstairs. Emma got ready for bed. Derek tucked her in. Dad? Yeah. Mom made you sad. You don't have to stay sad because of her. The words landed soft but certain. Permission from the person whose opinion mattered most. I know, kiddo. I'm working on it. She closed her eyes. Asleep in minutes, Derek walked to the kitchen, made coffee, sat at the table with his father's photo. Character is what you do when no one's watching. James Hayes had taught him that, had lived it for 30 years on a factory floor, never complained, never looked for recognition, just showed up and did the work. Derek was trying to do the same, show up for Emma, do the work, build something stable. But maybe showing up also meant letting someone in. Maybe doing the work included letting yourself be happy. Maybe his father would have approved of that too. Yes, 3 months later. December, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Derek's kitchen, pancakes on the griddle, Christmas lights visible through the window on neighboring houses. Emma and Olivia both at the counter in matching Portland Thorns pajamas. Olivia's Christmas gift from Emma last week. Coach says I'm getting better at defense. That's because I've been practicing with you. Doorbell. Catherine with Stumptown coffee and a bag of bagels from Spielman Coffee Roasters. She kissed Derek briefly. The girl said, "Ew," but giggled. The phone on the counter buzzed. Jessica Bradford on the caller ID. Derek paused, showed Catherine silently. Your choice. Always your choice. He declined the call. Set the phone face down. Emma heard. Was that Mom? Yeah, I'll call her back when you're ready to talk, kiddo. Emma thought about it. Maybe next month. Christmas was nice without the drama. That's fair, Olivia spoke up. My dad still tries to call sometimes from Sacramento. Mom always lets me decide when to talk. That's good. Emma poured syrup on her pancakes. Parents should listen to kids about stuff like that. Yeah, it's called boundaries. My therapist taught me that word. That's a good word. Catherine caught Derek's eye. Quiet conversation happening without words. You're teaching them to set healthy boundaries. That's a gift most adults never learn. Derek flipped a pancake. My father taught me. He said you teach kids by showing them, not telling them, so I'm just passing it on. The morning stretched easy. Breakfast, soccer practice plans, Olivia asking if they could go to Powell's Books downtown after. This was what normal looked like. Not perfect, just real. 4 people figuring it out together. Monday morning. Montgomery Enterprises office. Ryan Cooper stopped by Derek's desk around 10. Coffee from the office Keurig in hand. Hey Derek, I got the promotion. Junior Director of Operations. Derek stood, shook his hand firmly. Congratulations, Ryan. You earned it. I wouldn't have without your help. The way you taught me to present findings, to think 3 steps ahead on supply chain issues. You did the work. I just pointed you in the right direction. Ryan shifted. Still. Thank you. My dad's a mechanic in Gresham. Never went to college. When I told him about the promotion, he said to thank whoever taught me. So, thank you. Your dad sounds like a good man. My father worked at Freightliner. Same kind of guy showed up, did the work, taught me that's what matters. If I can ever return the favor, pay it forward or whatever. You already are. You're doing good work. You're treating the warehouse staff with respect. That's how you return it. Teach someone else what I taught you. Ryan headed back to his desk. Catherine watched from her office doorway. Slight smile. Ryan gone, she stepped out. You're a good teacher. I learned from the best. Derek glanced at James Hayes's photo on his desk. He'd be proud of you. I hope so. That's all I ever wanted, to make him proud and be there for Emma. You're doing both. She went back to her office. Derek returned to logistics reports, the cycle continuing. Knowledge passed down. Legacy built one conversation at a time. That Saturday, Laurelhurst Park, 2 p.m. Same park where the girls first met 3 months ago. Same swings, same playground, but different now. December mild for Portland, 50 degrees cloudy but no rain. Mont Hood barely visible through the clouds. Derek pushed Emma on the swings. Catherine sat on the bench with coffee, Olivia beside her reading The Last Olympian. Higher, Dad? I want to touch the clouds. Derek laughed. That's pretty ambitious, Catherine called out. Don't break her. I don't want to explain that to the ER at OHSU. She's tougher than she looks, track star in the making. Olivia put down her book, ran to join Emma on the adjacent swing. Derek stepped back, watched both girls swinging side by side. Laughing, Catherine joined him, slipped her hand into his. Both wearing gloves, Portland winter. They stood together. Watching, Derek thought about the reunion. 3 months ago, but feeling like another lifetime. Standing in that ballroom while Jessica tore him apart. Feeling helpless, exposed. Then Catherine appearing. One word changing everything. What are you thinking about? How much can change in 3 months? Catherine squeezed his hand. We're just getting started. The girls kept swinging, higher and higher, their laughter carrying across the park. Derek watched them, these two kids who'd been cautious with the world finding safety in each other, learning that not all adults disappoint, that some promises get kept. My father used to say character is what you do when no one's watching. Derek's voice was quiet. He worked the line at Freightliner for 30 years. Came home tired every night. But he never missed my track meets, never forgot to ask about my day. He taught me that showing up mattered more than showing off. Catherine listened without interrupting. But I learned something else that night at the reunion. Something he maybe knew but never said out loud. Derek turned to look at her. Sometimes the people who matter are watching, and when you've lived with integrity long enough, when you've chosen the hard right over the easy wrong every single day, they see it. They believe you. They stand beside you. Catherine's eyes held his. That's not weakness. No, that's strength. And that's the real legacy, not what you say, but what you do. Not who you tell yourself you are, but who you prove yourself to be when everything's on the line. The girls ran back, breathless. Come on, Dad, race you to the car. Derek grinned. You're on. He jogged after them, Catherine following. All four reached the parking lot together, Derek's Honda Accord and Catherine's Tesla parked side by side. Visual representation of two worlds that shouldn't work, but somehow did. They piled into Catherine's car, headed to her condo for dinner. In the back seat, Olivia and Emma talked about the next book they'd read together, making plans for sleepovers and soccer games and all the small details that built a life. Derek glanced at Catherine. She was smiling, the kind that reached her eyes. What? Nothing. Just thinking this was worth it. What was All of it. The risk, the vulnerability, the choice to try. Derek reached over, took her hand. Yeah, it was. 6 months after the reunion. April in Portland. Cherry blossoms blooming in Laurelhurst Park. Mount Hood visible on clear spring days. Derek stood in the ballroom of the Sentinel Hotel. Same room where Jessica had tried to destroy him. Same brass fixtures and Art Deco details. Different event this time. The Portland Community Foundation Spring Gala. Black tie optional. Business leaders and philanthropists filling the space. Catherine at his side in a midnight blue gown. Olivia and Emma with Sarah for the evening they'd protested, missing a fancy party, but compromised when promised ice cream and a movie marathon. You ready? Catherine adjusted his tie. No, but I'm doing it anyway. They moved through the crowd. Derek shook hands with people whose names he'd only seen in the business section. Catherine introduced him without fanfare, just his name, his role, the assumption that he belonged here. The foundation was announcing new grants tonight. Catherine had pushed for one specific recipient. At 8 p.m., the foundation director took the podium. Our next grant recipient focuses on mentorship and skills training for young professionals from working-class backgrounds. The Hayes Montgomery Education Initiative will provide scholarships, job placement assistance, and one-on-one mentoring to bridge the gap between blue-collar experience and white-collar opportunities. Applause filled the room. Derek felt his throat tighten. Hayes Montgomery. His father's name linked with Catherine's. The director continued. The initiative was founded by Catherine Montgomery of Montgomery Enterprises and Derek Hayes, whose father James Hayes worked at the Freightliner plant for 30 years. They believe that character, work ethic, and integrity matter more than pedigree. Their first cohort of 10 mentees starts this summer. More applause. Catherine squeezed his hand. They walked to the podium together. Catherine spoke first about the mission, about recognizing talent wherever it lived, about breaking down barriers between worlds that too often stayed separate. Then Derek took the microphone. My father taught me that character is what you do when no one's watching. He never had the opportunities I've had. Never got to see his work recognized in rooms like this. But he showed up every day for 30 years. Did the work, raised a son, left a legacy. He paused, found his voice again. This initiative is about honoring people like him, about giving opportunities to kids whose parents work factory floors and construction sites and service jobs. Kids who understand hard work because they grew up watching it. Kids who just need someone to believe they belong in places they've been told they don't. The crowd was silent, listening. James Hayes died when I was 25. He never met my daughter, never saw what his lessons built, but everything. I am everything I've tried to be. It comes from him, from his example, from his insistence that showing up mattered. Derek looked at Catherine. She nodded. This foundation exists because sometimes the people who matter are watching. And when you live with integrity, when you choose to do right by the people who depend on you, when you refuse to be anything less than what your father taught you to be, those people see it. They believe you. They stand beside you. And together, you build something that matters. He stepped back from the podium. The applause was louder this time. They returned to their seats. Catherine's hand found his under the table. Your father would be proud. I hope so. I know so. The evening continued. Dinner, more speeches, networking that Derek was getting better at but still found exhausting. Around 10:30 they left. Walked out of the Sentinel into Portland spring air. Cherry blossoms falling like snow. Catherine's car waited at valet. They drove to pick up the girls. Sarah's house was chaos. Emma and Olivia in a blanket fort. Empty ice cream bowls. Credits rolling on some animated movie. Did they behave? Sarah laughed. They were perfect, as always. The girls piled into the car, still talking about the movie. Derek drove them back to Catherine's condo. They'd been spending most weekends there, the space easier for 4 people than his small apartment. Bedtime routine. Both girls brushed teeth, changed into pajamas. Olivia in her room, Emma in the guest room that was slowly becoming hers. Derek tucked Emma in first. "How was the fancy party?" "Good. They announced Grandpa James's foundation." Emma's face lit up. "Really? That's so cool." "Yeah, it is. I wish I could have met him." "Me too, kiddo. But you've got his heart, his character. That's what matters." She hugged him tight. "I love you, Dad." "Love you too." Olivia was already half asleep when Derek checked on her, Catherine sitting on the edge of the bed. "Good night, Derek." Olivia's voice was drowsy. "Good night, Olivia." He closed the door quietly, found Catherine in the living room, Portland lights spreading below them. Wine poured. She handed him a glass. They stood at the window. "Thank you." Derek's voice was quiet. "For the foundation. For including my father's name. For all of it. It was your idea. You made it real." Catherine turned to face him. "We made it real. Together." They stood there. 2 people who'd built walls around themselves, finding safety and tearing them down. "I keep thinking about that night at the reunion." Derek set his glass on the table. "Standing there while Jessica tried to destroy me. Feeling helpless. And now I'm standing in the same building watching our foundation get announced. With you. With our daughters asleep down the hall. Building something that matters." Catherine smiled. "Character is what you do when no one's watching. But it's also what you do when everyone is watching. When you have the choice to walk away or stay. To protect yourself or protect someone else. To use power for yourself or use it to change things. Is that what I did?" Derek pulled her closer. "That's exactly what you did. You saw someone who needed defending. You stepped in. You changed everything. You would have survived without me. Maybe. But I wouldn't be here, building this. Happy." They kissed, soft and certain. The apartment was quiet except for the city sounds filtering through the windows. 2 girls asleep in separate rooms. 2 adults who'd found each other through crisis and chosen to build something in the aftermath. Derek thought about his father, about James Hayes standing in front of the Freightliner plant, work boots and weathered face and hands that built things. He'd taught Derek that character mattered. That showing up was everything. That integrity was the only currency that never devalued. Derek was teaching that to Emma now. Catherine was teaching it to Olivia. Ryan was learning it at work. 10 mentees would learn it through the foundation next summer. The cycle continuing. Knowledge passed down. Legacy built one conversation, one choice, one act of integrity at a time. Not what you say. What you do. Not who you claim to be. Who you prove yourself to be when everything's on the line. 1 year after the reunion. October again. Same weekend. Portland dressed in autumn colors. Derek and Catherine got married at the courthouse. Simple ceremony. Emma and Olivia as witnesses, Sarah and Catherine's assistant as additional signatures. No big production. No stress. Just 2 people making a choice. Afterward, they took the girls to Laurelhurst Park. Same swings where everything started. Emma and Olivia ran ahead to the playground. Derek and Catherine walked slowly behind. "You think Jessica knows?" Catherine asked. "Probably." Sarah said Michelle mentioned seeing something on Facebook. "Does it matter?" Derek thought about it. No, it doesn't. And it didn't. Jessica had made her choices. Derek had made his. The paths had diverged a long time ago. They reached the playground, sat on the bench. Olivia and Emma were teaching younger kids how to pump their legs on the swings. Patient, kind, showing them the technique. "They're good kids," Catherine leaned against Derek. They are. Wonder where they learned that. Probably from some guy whose father worked at a factory and taught him about character. Derek smiled. Yeah, probably. Mont Hood rose in the distance. Clear day. Perfect visibility. His phone buzzed. Text from Ryan. Just got accepted to the first Hayes Montgomery cohort. Thank you for believing in me. Derek showed Catherine. That's 11 mentees now. Good. We'll need to expand the program. Already planning that. Always. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their daughters teach younger kids, building small kindnesses that would ripple outward. Derek thought about the reunion, 1 year ago, standing in that ballroom while his world collapsed. He'd thought that was the ending, the final word on who he was and what his life meant. But it was just the beginning. Catherine appearing, Olivia entering his life, the foundation forming, Ryan growing, Emma healing, all of it building towards something bigger than that one terrible night. What are you thinking? Catherine asked Chest. That my father was right about character, but he was wrong about one thing. What's that? He said character is what you do when no one's watching. But sometimes the most important thing you can do is let people watch. Let them see what integrity looks like, what showing up means, what it means to choose right even when it costs you. Derek gestured toward the girls. They're watching. Ryan's watching. Those 10 mentees will watch, and they'll learn not just from what we say, but from what we do when it matters. Catherine nodded. That's the real legacy. Yeah, that is. Emma ran over. Dad, can we get ice cream? It's October, it's cold. Ice cream is for all seasons, Olivia joined her. Please, we've been good all week. Derek looked at Catherine. She shrugged. They have been good. Fine, but we're walking to Salt and Straw. You two need to burn some energy. The girls cheered, ran ahead toward the park entrance. Derek and Catherine followed, hand in hand, two people who'd found each other in crisis and built something stable in the aftermath. The walk to Salt and Straw took 15 minutes, the girls chattering the whole way about flavors and toppings and which books they'd read next. Derek watched them, these two kids who'd been wary of the world learning to trust again, learning that some adults keep promises, that family wasn't just blood, that home was wherever people chose to show up for each other. He thought about James Hayes, about the photo on his desk at work, about 30 years on a factory floor and the lessons that outlived the man. Character is what you do when no one's watching, but it's also what you do when everyone's watching, when you have the choice to stay silent or speak up, to walk away or stand your ground, to protect yourself or protect someone else. Derek had been silent for 6 years, protecting Emma, avoiding conflict. Then Catherine had appeared, spoken up when he couldn't, changed the narrative, and now they were building something that mattered, teaching kids that integrity was currency, that showing up was everything, that the hard right was always worth choosing over the easy wrong. The foundation would grow. More mentees would come. Ryan would teach the next generation. Emma and Olivia would carry these lessons into their own lives, the legacy spreading outward. Not because someone said it should, because someone did the work. James Hayes had taught him that. And Derek would make damn sure his father's grandson or granddaughter or the hundreds of kids who'd come through the foundation learned it too. Not what you say, what you do. Not who you claim to be. Who you prove yourself to be when everything's on the line. That was the lesson. That was the legacy. That was what survived when everything else fell away. Derek Hayes understood that now, and he'd spend the rest of his life making sure others did too.